It's a merry elven Christmas, merry elven Christmas. If you treat the barn elf right, he will do good things for you. But if you do not do this and you piss him off, he will kill you all tonight. There's Something in the Barn was directed by Magnus Martins, written by Alexander Kirkwood Brown, Josh Epstein, Kyle Rideout, stars Martin Starr as Bill, and Amrita Acharya, hope I pronounced the name correctly, as Carol. Carol is trying to fit in with Bill and his two children because, being a stepmother, it's hard to ingratiate yourself with children that, miss their mother and they understand they want their dad to be happy, but that dynamic gets played up a little bit. You have Nora, Zoe Winter Hansen, Lucas, Towns Banner. They moved to Norway because Bill's family owned a plot of land, a beautiful plot of land, and he just wants to make the best of it. So moving to another country naturally kind of upsets Nora because she left her friends behind and other people left stuff behind, but this is something they're gonna make work. They're gonna make it work. The townspeople, while not cold to them, ironic given the fact that it's almost always winter in Norway, at least as far as I can tell, they want to ingratiate themselves in the community. They want to turn this particular plot of land into a business and everything and be successful. But let's just say this land and a little bit of history behind it kind of throws them a bit of a curveball they didn't expect. So if you didn't gather from the opening terrible song rendition that I did, yes, there's an elf there. There's an elf, and let's just say if you treat elves right, they will do good things for you. And if you don't, then things can get really, really fucked up. And there are rules that are explained by a neighbor guy also that owns a elf type museum thing in town named Torej, who is trying his best to explain the stuff, and basically they don't like bright lights, they don't like changes, as long as you feed them, as long as you take care of them, and as long as you honor them and treat them properly, then things will go good. You don't, and things could go really goddamn bad. Okay, so it kind of reminded me of Unwelcome when I read that and got the basis of the plot. I will say that this movie is better than Unwelcome, which had a couple neat little ideas, but poor execution, very poor execution. And this is marketed as a horror comedy. I want to say right now that, firstly, I paid about $7 for this to rent it on Amazon, because why not throw a few bones towards, director, do my little part to support the filmmakers and support the actors and stuff like that. And I encourage people to do the same with films like this and other horror films and other whatever that are on Amazon that aren't available anywhere else, at least initially. Now, this is not as bad as Unwelcome, but as a comedy horror, it's not comedic enough to offset the horror that's kind of generic, and it's not horrifying enough to offset the comedy that doesn't really fully click. I didn't really enjoy this movie, but I'm not telling people not to watch it. Give it a shot. You guys might end up enjoying it because, yes, sure, some of the violent parts are okay, I guess, but it's tonally inconsistent. It just doesn't quite know what it wants to be, and it's also a lot of stuff that you've seen before. The makeup effects and the gore effects are fine. They're fine. That's actually halfway decent. And I do have to say, Amrita Acharya, I'm pretty certain I probably mispronounced that and totally butchered her goddamn name. I'm so sorry, but she is so beautiful. She is so fucking captivating. I have to see more that she's been in. I'd see more projects because she really is fucking gorgeous. And everybody else in the movie, they do fine. They do fine given the material. But three writers, you can kind of tell that, while I'm grateful that they got work, you could kind of tell there were some clashes because maybe it plays better than in Norway. I don't know. I've seen some Norwegian horror and other movies that worked well here. I saw The Conference on Netflix that actually turned out to be pretty goddamn good overall. Again, it's not the worst thing I've seen, but it's also not very funny and it's not very horrifying. And it also feels like, something stretched out, about 50 minutes worth of material stretched out to almost twice that length. So yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers here in just a bit to talk about a few things. It's not really a movie you can necessarily spoil because it is stuff you've seen before. It is what it is. There are a few parts where it's like, okay, I can kind of see what they were going for here, but a lot of it really didn't ultimately click. That being said, rent it on Amazon. Check it out for yourself. And, support the filmmakers. That's all you can do. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay. So, I actually was thinking that this was going to be Norwegian. There are people that speak Norwegian in this, obviously being in Norway, but an American family transplanted. I did find the opening kind of funny, where a guy's trying to burn the barn down. First he was trying to rip it down, then that didn't work with the tractor. Then he tried to burn it down, and then a flaming tire swing knocked him through and out the goddamn window, and then he was burning, and it turns out that actually was a relative of Bill's. And yeah, if you line, paraphrasing here, if you mess with nature, it'll come back and punch you right in the face. That's what I felt like this movie did a few times or whatever, because it's like, funny, we're trying to be funny, and no, you're not, it really didn't work at all. The barn elf, the makeup effects are actually pretty goddamn good, I'll admit that right there. And Carol's idea is to turn the barn into a bed and breakfast, so to speak. What were their plans here? Like, exactly, did they think this trip through exactly? Because it seems like really, really quickly everybody kind of sours on the whole damn thing. Lucas makes friends with the barn elf that he ends up doing this thing with, I believe it's this. And he does, kind of like a bonding thing. First he's giving him cookies and giving him stuff. And he's doing nice things after this guy Torres, their neighbor type guy, so to speak, that has the museum and talks about, all the stuff that elves do. If you do good things, he also do good things for you. Like this elf cleaned out their snow so they could drive somewhere. And just based on the location, that's a hell of a trip to the goddamn grocery store. And then wood gets chopped. Well then, let's just say, after setting up some Christmas decorations that they evidently either packed or got from some big old shop there in whatever town they were in. I don't know where they got that stuff from. Yeah, they weren't, the elf wasn't very happy. Wasn't very happy at all and started to really sour on them. And then at one point there was a comment from Bill to Carol, "You're in Norway now. Nothing bad ever happens here. The April 1940 occupation says otherwise, but I digress." The comedy just doesn't hit. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I don't fault the actor. It just seems like... It just seemed, I don't know, delivered. I don't know what the deal was. It just didn't hit. And eventually the elves end up turning, or the elf ends up turning kind of bad. Breaking into their home. There's some comedy with a police officer or sheriff or deputy, whatever her rank was, that she ends up getting killed via her sled, just like basically she's on a snowmobile and she ends up getting slaughtered, which was, I guess, kind of funny. Yeah, this didn't necessarily work. Like, you get a neighbor that showed up after they did like a rave party in the barn, or like a Christmas party, and they wrecked the place, and that was kind of the elf's second home, so he gets pissed off and destroys their stuff. Now they're going to kill them all. Because, what do I mean by they? Because there's a bunch of elves there. Because of course they're bloody is. Everyone is stupid. I did note, Maria, my God, she's just fucking gorgeous. Sorry, can't help it. But he has friends, and then his friends basically lived in the barn. No, actually, it turns out that there's tunnels in this particular barn that take you to an elven village somewhere. I don't know. Could have been near Mordor for all I goddamn know. Maybe it's the Shire. So, anyway, the dad's like, there's some attempt at a funny moment where he's like, I was bitten by an elf, so when I change, it's like, no, it's not zombies. That's not how it works. Then there's a family heart-to-heart about bad Christmases they've had, and this isn't the worst Christmas. They got stuck at JFK, food poisoning, da-da. They come up with this idea, hey, let's escape on this sled. Bill and Lucas, while elves are chasing after them, throwing saw blades like they're Metal Man from Mega Man 2. And then suddenly the elves get in the road and then just get hit by this 18-wheeler that's just out there making a delivery. Where exactly? I'm probably thinking too much into it, but just certain things would happen where I'm like, I just don't get it. And then Carol and Nora take this alcohol, this like, really strong proof alcohol, and pour it into these ornaments and then use them as bombs. And through all this, Nora gets captured and she gets taken to the village. So does Carol. And Lucas basically makes peace with this particular elf, the original elf. Like, we're sorry we did this. We were trying to make peace with you and everything, and we will be good. And sorry, remember this, this kind of stuff. And the little bit of bonding they did over cookies. I mean, then again, there are worse things to be bonded over. And this elf ends up helping them, basically. This neighbor, Torage, he, gets caught in the middle of this goddamn thing. He ends up making peace because he talked about the Oslo Agreement and everything. The the agreement between Israel and Palestine. Kind of real, kind of, not good for current world events and everything as of this recording. But basically, Lucas makes a deal with this elf. This elf helps him. The barn gets blown up, so all the other elves are seemingly dead, except for two that brought Torage from just off camera somehow. And then he's gonna, this lone elf, I guess, is gonna live in their, in that little museum thing. And now they're all happy. And also there's this running gag about not being able to see the Northern Lights. Then they see the Northern Lights, and it's beautiful. I saw the Northern Lights a few times, especially once when I was coming back from a Britney Spears concert in Eastern Washington, and it was great. It was goddamn great. It was like a 95-degree night, but man, they were cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Like, the violence just doesn't hit. There is one semi-funny point, like 30 minutes left, where Nora gets a bat and is destroying them all, or maybe it's like an hour in. That's okay. The Christmas music is all right, but it's totally inconsistent. It just doesn't necessarily work for me. I'm not saying don't watch it. Give it a watch. You might feel differently than I do. It's not as bad as Unwelcome. Don't get me wrong. That being said, it still isn't very good, and I got to give it an F. I'm sorry. I'll check out the other stuff that the filmmaker did and the other stuff the writers did, and I'll check out more stuff that the cast did, but as far as this movie particularly, no, F. That being said, check it out. You might feel differently. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Sean Ritlin. I'll see you soon.